So my question to all of you is, how many of you, give me either a thumbs up or a one in the chat, did the two or even remember the two things you were asked to do last week? Come on. Loud background noise, but let me see something. I either need to see thumbs up or I need to see one in the chat, like you did what you said you were going to do. And again, this isn't a chastise. This is, what I want to create here, you guys, is, some accountability, not just for you guys, but for myself. We gotta hold each other accountable, because that's it. Nobody can fire anybody. So this isn't like traditional business, and you're not going to lose, your house or your life savings because you got started here in this business. I did one thing. Can't remember number two. Perfect. I think I remember. It's pretty cool that I can even see these comments, to be honest with you. So I probably can't read them all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over those last two, and then I'll try to refresh your memory. So number one was, you were guys, we asked you, kind of tasked you, if you will. The homework was to find a couple people and just call them up and just do like kind of a mock conversation. So it's, hey, Renee, how you doing? Boy, what have you been up to? And Renee like, huh? And then she was supposed to pick up, I'm kind of role playing, right?
Positive song. Oops. Maybe one.
Keep on the guys mute, and that would be good. But so then what Renee was going to do is then pause. Remember the pause? And experience that pause and try to pause long enough until the other person spoke. Does that make sense? You guys remember that or not? So those that have your cameras on, I need some interaction because I can't see more than one screen at a time. But so like, I'm going to tell you who I can see. I can see Mike. I can see Doug. I can see Ryan. I see Laura's face, but that's Dave Froman. I can see Rebecca. I can see Mandy. And Tammy. So if y'all can help me out by, doing this or doing this, that would be good. But we were just going to have conversations where I'm going to have a conversation. And in that conversation, I'm going to practice pausing and making it like so uncomfortable to see who talks first. Did anybody do that? Okay. If you didn't do it, that's okay. But I'm telling you that if you practice that, it's going to help you be a better communicator. It's going to help you in this process. Good job, Amber. Amber, why don't you unmute once a minute?
Hey.
So tell me about kind of what you did and what you experienced, would you?
So I guess I didn't call. I was trying to multitask last week. Whenever you were talking, I was dealing with goats. But I remember the awkward silence, and I remember trying to make that happen. So this week in some of my conversations, for instance, it's not business related, but whenever I was at a farm, we were chatting and just kind of getting to know each other. It was a new client. And so I was getting to know her, and then I just stopped talking. I remember what you said, and I was like, because the conversation was going pretty well, and I just stopped talking. And yeah, and so like, I'm one that fills the gaps. I'm a very extroverted person, so I feel the silences. It's just natural for me. And so I remember we were getting along good, and I'd never met this person before, and so I just literally just stopped, and they just filled in the gaps. I kept talking.
So how did that make you feel when there's that silence? What?
I hate it. I hate silence. So for me, because I'm a chatty Cathy. And so, and you know that, so the silence is uncomfortable for me as well. But at the same time, it was kind of a game. So that was kind of the fun part, I guess, for me, because I was like, all right, like, let's see. And so she just kept talking and kept like, okay, well, what do you think I should do next? And, just come up with more things to say. So I saw that as an interesting opportunity. I did it again. I was chatting with someone at the gas station, and I did it. That was a real opportunity, because I was chatting with someone there, and we were chatting about the weather, because we can all be in misery about it. And so that's a common thing here in Michigan. And I just quit talking, and they started asking me questions. So yeah.
Perfect. Really quick, Renee, I saw a comment of you. Renee, can you unmute a minute?
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. So just kind of tell us that conversation. You said, I think I saw like a long lost friend or something like.
Yes. So my brother had been connecting with a friend of mine from like 8th grade. And so she and I had not talked for like 30 years. So we were talking and basically she was asking, me things and I just kept putting it back on her and asking more questions of her. And then I asked her what she did for work and she asked me what I did. And I just kept going back with more questions and pausing. I would never answer her questions. You'd be very proud of me. It went on for days. And then when we finally did talk and I opened up with what I did, I basically said, I help people on their wellness journey. And she's like, wait, what? I want to know about that. So, it went really well. And then I tried another time when someone reached out to me, but they wouldn't play along. They were calling me to get dialogue. You know about it. It was actually you and your wife.
Oh, that's a little different. Yeah.
I tried to pause, but you guys wouldn't.
We were calling to congratulate you. So that's a little bit different. I get that. So you guys, thank you so much for sharing, Renee.
Sure.
So you guys, here's what's fun. And just, and again, I can't see every chat that's going on, so don't take if I'm not saying something, but I just wanted to get a couple of those examples. And what I love, like with Dr. Amber's, is she used it even in her traditional practice, right? You guys, so remember, in the more that you practice that piece of the equation, and Renee, you're like, you were able to flip the conversation and stay in control of that questioning until you wanted to pause, and then they did exactly what you would expect, is they started to ask you what you did. And I love what you did. I help people on their wellness journey, and boom, it opened that up, right? Well, imagine if every day all of us would have conversations like that. I'm staying in a hotel and I'm just telling you, every person that gets in a what are those things called? The elevator, right? Everyone, here's the only thing that I say to strike up a conversation. Where are you from? And I can take that down as long of a path as I want to, but it's interesting. Like if that's the only, if you got nothing else, just say where are you from, and you're going to engage in a conversation. But it's the skills we learned in kind of like our part 1, part 2. If you start putting those together, which leads me then to the second thing that I asked if you guys would do, and again, please always take this the right way, right? Like I'm believing that over time, everybody's going to get more and more comfortable and saying, hey, I'm going to really participate each week because I'm going to build the momentum, because I just saw something and maybe they're already really great at it. But, Renee's experience led me to believe that, hey, there's this is in her head a little bit. And so it helped. Same thing with Amber. She's like, this is in her head a little bit. So even though it wasn't pertaining to this business, it still is, because it's still a process. Does that make sense? And so I don't, Tammy, it could even be, when you're, with the grandkids and somebody call it, like it can be anywhere. It can be about anything. But as long as we're practicing that process and it becomes natural, that's the goal. I want the conversation to become natural and comfortable, because then you can do this anywhere in your life. And that's how, I don't know where Jeannie went on my screen, but that's how I met Jeannie, right? Jeannie, if you can unmute really quick a second.
I'm here.
And I know we've gone over this, but do you remember the day that I came in to rent napkins? Was anything about our conversation awkward to you?
No, I always liked to talk to my clients when they came in. And so I just said, oh, what do you need the napkins for? And you mentioned you were doing a fundraiser, and then you told me about the ranch. And I just started asking you about, what did that entail? And no, it was just a great conversation. I was interested about, what you did for the kids, and it touched me. And then I wanted to know more, and that there was no agenda in regards to the business or anything like that. It was just getting to know you and you getting to know me. And in the end, you said, I would love for you to meet my lovely wife, Dr. Ginger.
So here's something very, very interesting about your perspective of that conversation. And if you guys get what just happened, it's what we all want to happen. Think about, and this is really a positive thinking. In Jeannie's mind, she was actually interviewing me. Did you pick up on that? In her mind, she was sharing and leading the questions. But I promise you, it was just a couple things with a pause and allowing somebody else to talk. So it leads me to, and I'm still trying to, so it leads me to, how many of you then, for kind of the second thing that we talked about, is starting a conversation and taking it as far as you can, finding out as much as you can about somebody else. Did anybody have one of those conversations?
I've had several of those, Aaron, since I've been here.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can see some other people. So I got I see a Carla, Liz, Tammy, Nicole, Scott, Angela, Bill, Vince. So just out of you guys, did any of you guys have a conversation this week and try to ask as many questions as you could to find out as much as you could about anybody? Anybody? And I'm only calling you out because I can see you. So Vince, you did?
Yeah, Aaron, and I don't know if it's a great analogy because you know what I do for a living, criminal defense, but I make a habit of doing that because I got to find out as much about that person so I can properly defend them. But what I'll also do is, it can carry over to situations where I'm talking to someone on the street and just start talking to them and getting more information about them. And it's amazing when you ask questions. It's amazing how much information you can get from people.
Yeah. So did you specifically, though, identify somebody that you wanted to play this game with this week? Or is that just something that you...
Yeah, I did. Yep, I did on this number 2. I did do that. Yeah. So,
okay. So in that particular case, who was it that you connected with?
It was a person I met at the store. We just started talking. I forget what we were talking about. We were just talking about probably the weather. And then I talked about a song I just heard on the radio. He said, "Oh, you like music?" I said, "Yeah, how about you?" He said, "Oh, I love music." And started finding about this guy's a musician. He was an older guy, about my age, but he was a musician and loves jazz. And so we just started talking about that. It was really interesting, just learning more about this guy and his love for music. So
that's what I was looking for, you guys. So again, in anybody else, if you put it in a chat, I'll try to look that you want to share. I'm always looking to see how much did you found out. So like Vince had that conversation because he remembered the guy, musician. Oh, he liked jazz. Like, how much can you find out about somebody, right? How much can you find out about them? And then always ask yourself a couple questions. And again, if you're just practicing this process, we haven't come to the agenda, right? This is just a practice of a process. But then at the end, I want to ask myself, okay, did I ask more questions or did they ask more questions? Like, what side of the equation was I on? Did I let them flip it and they started to control that and they were asking the questions, or was I asking the questions? And then did I listen more or did I talk more? So if you're practicing this process and you want to get better at connecting with people, and again, without having an agenda, my agenda was not to go in there that day. So Susan, I'm going to talk to you in just 1 second. But if I to go in to talk to Jeannie, my agenda was not about recruiting Jeannie. My agenda was napkins. But because I've so conditioned myself with conversation, she qualified herself in that conversation actually 2 or 3 different times. But isn't it interesting how she remembers talking more? I talk less.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Right? And so that's and it was a natural conversation. That wasn't like, it was just natural. And it led to Jeannie now, Jeannie's, a rock star, right? In our business, right? Like it's pretty legit. Now, for every conversation I have like that, there's 10 or 20 that don't go that good. That's the part that you got to understand. It doesn't matter. It's a process. I'm not going to ever run out of people to talk to because I'm going to see somebody in the elevator next time I go down in the lobby. Now, chances are they're probably already in our business that's a growing chance now. But my point is this: what like Josh, are you on here? I know you are somewhere.
Yeah, I'm here.
I have no idea what's going to come out of your mouth next. This might be a really good thing, or it might have been a disaster. But you're like, dude, I got to tell you about my Uber driver. Can you?
Oh yeah.
Is that applicable to what we're talking about?
Yeah. Well, it is, and I don't believe anything happens on accident. This was a very clear example of that today. But you never get to you don't get to pick who your Uber driver is, and this guy picks me up, and I start asking him every question that I possibly can, starting with the fact that he's wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey, so I can relate to him on a football front. So we asking him all kinds of questions about football and what's he doing here and where's he grew up and is he in the military? And all of a sudden we start talking about our faith, and he's a pastor, and it went down it was awesome. But ultimately, I got his information, got his contact info, and he's probably going to come to come here on Friday.
Okay. So I want to dive a little bit deeper. So, because now
Yep.
so we talked about those two things, and oops, there's somebody on there. Hold on a minute.
Everybody mute, please.
Was it? I missed somebody on the chat. I said I wanted them to unmute, and I don't want to miss. Susan, was it Susan? Was it that you that I asked it? Or was it? Who was it? I thought it was Susan. Susan, you said you had one today. Could you unmute just for a second? Josh, I'm going to come back to you. Susan, are you there?
Okay.
I got to find Susan.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I ended up taking my dog with me to Lexus to buy a new battery for my car, and everybody talks to the person with the dog, So this guy was sitting there. Turns out, he said that he's had hip replacements and knee replacements, and I go, oh, did you go to Netflix and see that Bleeding Edge video? Because it talks about the cobalt being bad for you. He goes, yeah, I had 2 of them, and blah blah blah. Then I was telling him about my health business, because he said, well, he's about to retire and he doesn't know what he's going to do. And I said, well, here's my card. Why don't you give me a call if you're interested, and we can talk about it. That's all.
No, so fantastic. And I love see how much you learned about him. Now, can I take just for a moment, because you did absolutely nothing wrong. But can I make one quick adjustment?
Sure.
Okay. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way. So, but it's one thing that changed everything for me. And it was doing exactly what you did, only instead of handing him a card, I asked, would it be okay if I get, do you got a number? I'd love to connect with you to share some information.
That's a good idea.
Is a text or would email be better for you?
Yeah, that would have been better.
Right. So I don't ask for their phone number. I said, would a text or email be better for you?
Okay.
And then that way, here's the thing, because I literally don't have a business card. I haven't. I did my first year in network marketing. I went out and I got, back then you could, what's that? Call, get 1,000.
Always.
Do that again.
You. Okay. Yeah, Josh, if you can kind of help me stay on this. Okay. So, but what would happen is I passed out business cards, and I got so frustrated because I passed out all these cards and nobody's getting back with me. And so that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get their information. And it changed everything, because I then was in control. And that's what I'm going to talk about tonight more. So you really teed that up well. But now but I'm so super proud of you, because you did it, and look how much information you found out. Like it's perfect, right? And then back to really quick, I love what Renee said. Renee, can you just say that one phrase that you said?
Sorry, that I help people on their wellness journey?
There you go. Guys, I would write that phrase down. I'm not saying that you have to say that, but I believe in the world we live in today, that phrase is going to grab somebody's attention. And Susan, you did exactly right. But so now if I would take and do everything that you did, by the way, everybody go buy a puppy, right? and you strike up that conversation, find out about him, and he's got knee hip replacement and the other stuff that you brought up, perfect. And then he says, what do you do? And you say something, which you did say something like that, but I'm just giving you guys just a squip. I help people on their wellness journey. Well, obviously he might want some help on his journey. And then, well, how do you do that? Then I would say, well, you know what? I don't have a lot of time right now, or, hey, right now is not the right time, but I'd love to share with you, right? Because remember, I help, which is really, really cool, people on their wellness journey. I don't have a lot of time right now, but I'd love to share with you. What's the best way to connect with you? Would text or email be better?
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you're jotting down, or in the notes in your phone, you're taking down their information. And that's going to really tee up what I'm going to talk about next. So Susan, thank you so much. And again, congratulations. And then Josh, if you can now, I want you to talk to everybody methodically, not generally, but methodically, from the time where you had enough information to the time where you got his information. Walk me through what exactly happened and how you got his information.
Yeah. So, I'm just kind of give you the cliff notes of watching him get out of the car, recognizing that he's got a football jersey on. I always, in my mind, was already kind of wanting to ask him some questions. So through my line of questioning, he told me that he used to be a runner. He's really big into health and wellness, but he can't run anymore because his knees are bad, right? So he asked me 3 or 4 times, so what do you do? And I said, I'll get to that. So how long have you been living here? How long have you been in the service? How many kids you have? I mean, it was just boom, 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 boom. So finally he couldn't take it anymore. And he's like, so what do you do? Hey, I work with people all over the world, helping them get on track nutritionally. And I help people have health transformations and wealth transformations. Really? Yeah. Tell you, would it be okay if I shared a couple of things with you? I don't know what you have going on the next couple of days, but you know what I'm here for. I mean, it just, so he couldn't give me his card quick enough. And he said, text me, it's easier. And then when I was getting out of the car, he said, I know we met on purpose. He goes, let's at least meet for coffee or dinner or something, but for sure, let me know when your event is. So it's one of those things where you want to tell people so badly what you do because you know they need to hear what you do. But if you don't have enough information gathered, it won't work. So it was great. It was exactly how it plays out.
You guys, so that conversation right there, and again, I could take so many things in just what he just reflected on that are so correct. And it's the same process. So what it is to me is it's not exactly the words, but it's the process. And there's little phrases inside that process. And Josh just did it. Like if we pulled that recording out and said, here's a training on how to connect with people. There's one thing though, that most of us miss. For every conversation that goes that good, there's 10 to 20 that don't. And most of us get wrapped up in the 10 to 20 that don't. The moment you can understand that those aren't bad conversation, they're just practice for the right conversation. And the right conversation happens when the right person shows up. That's it. There's no magic. What's the difference between a professional in our industry and somebody that just does it as a hobby? It's having conversations every day. It's the Susan that had the conversation. And then honestly, and kudos to everybody on here that jumps on to glean information from others that might have had success the last week, the last day, the last year, the last decade. And then be willing to take and adjust and adapt and apply. And then go out and do it again and apply some of those things. There's so many things that I heard in Josh's conversation that we've either talked about in the last couple of weeks or at trainings. Would it be okay if? You guys, one of my favorite phrases is, would it be okay if? That I use that in so many conversations. It's not even funny because when I say, would it be okay if, I'm taking and I get a control for that moment. I get your conscious and subconscious mind reacting at the same time because I'm asking permission. And when you ask permission, it's not just a response, but it also exudes a subconscious response as well. And so it's a really good, would it be okay if I've got both parts of the mind really dialed in for that moment. And also, what did he do? He got his card, right? And again, we're collecting their information. So now Josh, at the very least, because that guy might have been on to the next Uber and something else happened, something else changed. But instead, because that guy then might have forgot. Does that make sense? But now Josh can respond. And this is where now I'm transitioning into here's what I would want. Sorry, I shouldn't have looked at my phone because anyway, it's our chairman of the board texting me, which is never a bad thing. That's always a good thing, but totally just knocked me off my thought process. But I would do this. I would pick up my phone as soon as I got out of the Uber. As soon as I got out of the, Susan, I forgot if you're getting your tires changed or what you were doing. You're doing something at the dealership, right? I thought, right? But as soon as I'm done with that and I've got their information, I'm going to say, literally, as soon as they're out of sight, even if they're in a different part of the building, I'm going to say, hey, Bob, so great connecting with you. Look forward to sharing more information. That's it. Hey, Bob, this is Aaron. We were just in the Uber. Hey, Bob, this is Aaron. We were just in the car dealership. You know, so nice to get to meet you. Want to find out more about your story. Let's connect soon. Now I'm in their phone. When it pops up and I shoot them another text, I'm gonna use the experience of where I met them. Hey, Jeannie, this is Aaron. We just met at Cascade Rental. Remember, I rented some napkins, right? So I want her to connect with that experience right away because there was a good experience. Josh had a good experience in the car. I want them, when I re-text them, to reconnect. What do you see when you text somebody, right? So you see their last text. So it's gonna bring to the forefront of their mind that good experience that now I get to go. And so when somebody says, Aaron, how do you get people to respond to you? That's how. I'm connecting that good experience. So the next time when they look at their text, they're not like, oh, who was that again? Have you ever met somebody and you're like, oh man, I forgot, who was that? Because you didn't save them in their phone. And so now it's not really like a cold call or a cold connect. It's warm because of that experience. Does that make sense? That's how you're going to get them to the next step more times than not. Does it always work? No, it just works more times than it doesn't. So now Josh has an opportunity here to get this guy to come in and come to the lobby, get to come on Friday and experience some of the stuff. Okay. So what's Josh going to do next? Josh is going to set up an appointment and drive him to an event. What's an event? An event could be a video. An event could be a Zoom. An event could be sitting down in the lobby, a one-on-one, two-on-one. An event could be an actual event, going to the ranch, coming here to the actual event that's happening here. We want to then be masters at driving people or connecting people to the next event. And you control what that event is. Remember, what's an event? An event could be a video. It's an event. It's something for them to look at that explains what we do. So in Susan's case, and again, I'm using these people because you guys are in my screen, just so you know. So in Susan's case, that event might be a video that has to do with maybe Dr. Ginger talking about Magna-Cal D or Venali or something that we know that's going to help, you know, his knee replacements and that kind of stuff nutritionally, right? An event might be that person that Renee was talking to on the wellness journey that explains maybe the wellness journey plus making some money. That event for Josh, obviously, from what I hear and from Josh, he wants to know about both. So I want to give him a full on, opportunity presentation that incorporates both, which by the way, we should have a new slide deck we've been working on that you guys should love, right? Really simple, very duplicatable, explains everything in such a simple way. I'm pumped about it. Okay. You should be able to see that this Friday or Saturday, and we'll train on it quickly afterward. And I got to be careful because I don't want to give too much stuff out, but if you're not connected to the Zoom, for this event this weekend. If you can't physically be here, which I understand, I get that. Many of you are, but many of you can't. I get it. If there's one piece of advice that I would give you, pay the $25, find a nice, comfortable place in your house, get you a couple Dr. Ginger approved snacks, and sit your fanny in that chair and act like you're in the room with all of us. Because I will tell you this, I will let you in on this. We scrambled today and we've got a couple big screen TVs. So we're going to be able to see, like I'm talking to you guys. So Susan, does it feel like you're part of tonight's presentation? Unmute yourself just a minute.
Yes.
Yes. Everybody.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So
Very
because
good.
I can see you, so what we're going to do is we're going to create that same thing. So we're going to have a stage and we're going to have some TVs and we're going to have a couple different screens of people so we can bring them into the presentation. So Renee's in California, she can't get here, but I'm going to be able to see Renee sitting there during the presentation, and so will the other speakers. And so it's, for us, it's going to be like you're right here in the audience. For you, if you understand how powerful it is for you to participate as an audience participant, I promise you, as sure as I'm sitting here, you will not, I promise you, you will not be disappointed if you spend the day and a half in a chair. I promise you, you won't. When we take a break, you take a break. When we come back, you come back. Because there is going to be things throughout. Remember, everything is built on the next. It's kind of like these last 3 weeks. If you'll notice, everything is built on the next. And you just heard Josh and a couple others put that whole thing together, and guess what? It worked. It's not by chance that it worked. It's a process. And once you learn the process, it'll just work more times than it won't. Will it always have the desired outcome that you and I want? No. But what's my outcome? I personally, and I'm getting off, but I got a point here. I personally love to set myself up to win every day. So this is a whole other talk, and I don't know why I got here, but I need to go here now just for a moment. Definition of success. We'll do a whole Zoom on definition of success. And I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag, but we can dive deeper. So I love, I heard this years ago in Earl Nightingale, his definition of success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And so for me, what is a definition of success? Well, a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. What's a worthy ideal? For me, it's sharing hope and opportunity of both health and wealth. So I'm a success if I shared hope and opportunity of health and wealth today. Notice I didn't connect that to a result, only to a process. I can control a process. I can't control an outcome. So today, if I shared at least once the process, the opportunity of financial and health transformation, if I was able to share that, it doesn't matter a yes or no. All that matters is that I did it. And if I can lay my head down every day knowing that I did that at least once, I go to bed as a success. And guess what that allows me to do? Sleep so much better. It just does. The moment you can detach from the outcome and get addicted to the process is the moment that you'll go make sky's the limit here. Because then I can predict your success by the amount of times you're willing to do that in a day. It is absolutely 100% predictable. It's not predictable if you're using a different process each time. It's very predictable if you use the same process every time. If you would pull out what Josh did with the Uber driver and you would repeat that in your words, but use those same types of process. If I could take Susan Susan, you were 90%, you tweaked 10%, and it's just that little last 10%. You didn't do anything wrong. That last 10% that we tweak can change everything, that just allows you a little more control. And now you and I do that. And then as soon as you walk away from those people that you meet, you text or emailing whatever they got, you remind them of what you just went through in a very positive light. You know, who was the person that met the jazz? And somebody did, I forget who it was. Somebody just met somebody. Oh, Vince. Right? Vince met the guy about jazz. Hey, it's so nice meeting you. Yeah, I really love jazz too. Can't wait to reconnect with you. What am I doing? That's a Tony Robbins deal. I'm anchoring, right? I'm anchoring something that's positive that they like genuinely. Don't make it up, right? Don't make somebody walk on water when they're sinking up to their neck, right? Like, just be real, but anchor that. That's how, when you reconnect and say, hey, listen, you know what? Remember we were talking about jazz the other day, and I mentioned that I also do this. I'm not just a criminal defense attorney, but I'm on a wellness journey, and you showed some interest. When could we get together? I'd like to share more information. Hey, would you be available Tuesday night? I'd love to introduce you to some of my friends. We got a little get together going on, and would you be a guest? I'd love to introduce you to them. And you know what? There's a couple other people there that are into jazz, like whatever that is. Do you see how I'm now getting them to the last step, which is to look? But doesn't it feel comfortable? It's going to be really comfortable when Josh reconnects with the Uber driver, say, hey, listen, yeah, I'd love you to meet some other like-minded people. They just happen to be right here. Don't you think that your chances of that guy showing up are a lot greater than not? When I met Jeannie, I didn't say, hey, Jeannie, I want you to meet me. I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember exactly what I said. I said, Jeannie, I'm not here to just rent napkins. You need to meet my wife. She needs to meet my wife. She didn't need to meet me. She needed to meet my wife. Why? Because I knew that there would be a connection. But I was certain. I did not question it in my mind at all. I'm going to give you one other quick example, and then we'll open up if you got a couple questions. And is this helping? I hope it's helping. So I'm going to tell you one of the things, and I think it's applicable to what we're talking about. And I'm hoping that, step 3 is, what do I say to get somebody to look? I hope you're getting, that's what I say to get them to look. That's the process. We just went through the process. I just practice it every day. And now I do it. It doesn't matter, like with Amber, it doesn't matter if it's in ranch life, if it's in, it doesn't matter. But what I also don't worry about is trying to be somebody else. I constantly got to fight to be the best version of me, because I always think that I got to be like somebody else. Anybody relate? I always think somebody's better than me. I do. Like I'm being very bold. I always think, man, I got to be more like this person or that person, because it seems like they're having more success. I got to be more like a Tim Sales, or I got to be more like, and then I got to remind myself, no, Aaron, today, just be the best version of you. That's just, that's going to be good enough, because you're going to be able to connect with somebody that somebody else can't. And so if I'm the best me every day, and I'm just going through the process, not forcing it, but see, Ryan, I've organically done it so many times, it's natural. I love what Susan, it was just natural, wasn't it, Susan? Vince, it was just natural. Renee, it was just natural. Josh, it was just natural, right? Now you just fit a couple things. And again, Josh, that's like a textbook training of a flow of a perfect cold contact that got really, really warm. And the airport is not hours away. It's about 20 minutes away. Set yourself up with success. Redefine your success. Don't ever attach, in my opinion, don't ever attach a monetary value to success. You'll never get there. I promise you. You won't. And never attach success, your definition, to an outcome that you can't control. The only outcome you can control is process. And if I attach my success to sharing at least one person a day, what I do, I can be a success every night going to bed, and every day I can go out and I can be a success. And ultimately financially you will. So what do I say to get them to the end, or to look at it? That's what it is. Here's the last thing I was going to. So I will tell you, last Saturday morning, and I don't know that he might be on here, he might not be, she might be on here, she might not be. But I'm going to tell you exactly what it was. So one of our teammates has had somebody that they've connected with, and they've literally had Zooms 2 times with Chris Doyle, 1 time with Mark Wilson, and 1 time with Dr. Ray Strand. Okay, because they're and this particular person is from out of town, and they happen to be, they're a coach. They happen to be about 25, 30 minutes from my house this last Saturday. and I was asked to go sit down and see this person. I'm going to tell you, again, total transparency. My initial response was, I'll see. Okay, when I said I'll see, I knew I could. I mean, we had the training Zoom, but I didn't have to be on that. But really inside, I'm like, okay, if Chris talked to him twice on Zoom and Mark Wilson talked to him and Dr. Strand talked to him, why do I need to get up early on a Saturday morning? It's freaking cold. I don't like waking up early and go drive, you know, in the cold to go see somebody. That's probably, that was my attitude. Anybody relate? I've ever had that attitude. Okay. All right. Here's what you must do. And here's what I've taught myself to do. I had to flip it because I was going every reason why it's not going to work. It's not going to work. This is stupid. I don't want to do it. And I just stopped. I'm like, you know what? Yep. I'll meet them. In that moment, I flipped everything. Then it was, if I'm going to get up early, they're getting started with an ultimate pack. If I got to go and be cold, and if I got to drive over there, I don't care if Fred and Brent will, I don't care if they talk to all the owners at one time. It don't matter. I'm freaking going over there. And so I got there early. They were there, sat down. Now I'm going to walk you through this. We've got just a couple more minutes. So sitting at a table, you guys, I'm walking through methodically for you, my process. And this is all things that I had to teach myself. Nope, I have years of learning this. But as soon as we sat down, immediately I leaned back and I just kind of opened up like this. So that person, eye level was higher, I was down, I leaned back and I'm open. Okay. I do it with the kids too, you guys. It's just something that I've conditioned myself to do. If you ever watch me work with kids, I promise you I'm always low on their level or lower, because I want them to feel the power and I want them to understand that I'm vulnerable. And it's all body language and posture, but it's very, very, in my opinion, very important. And all I did is ask questions. We had 45 minutes. About 38, 39, 40 minutes into the conversation. I had 10 minutes left, so whatever that is, 35 minutes into the conversation is the first time that I started to talk, other than ask a question. So I've got 45 minutes for a presentation. I used up more than 3/4 just asking questions and listening. But then it was my turn. And this is where, again, another class, practice your story. For those of you that are going to be sharing your story, I hope you've been practicing it. I got my story down. I'm 60 seconds, but now here's what happens. So remember, I'm back here. I'm asking questions. I'm listening. Now it's my turn. Okay, so here's the deal. Now I'm confident. I'm postured, right? So here's the deal. Here's my story. Boom, 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 boom. I know what you're going to say is you don't have time. Here's what I need from you. Not here's what I want you to do. Here's what I need from you. I need 15 minutes a day minimum. I need you to be able to get on the phone. Okay, you got a lot of people. Okay, this guy is very connected. He's got some experience in his past. He's been on another product for 20 years. Like, I know everything, right? Because what did I do for the last 40 minutes? I listened and asked questions. And so it was just boom, 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 boom. Okay, I need 15 minutes. I need this. I need this. And you want to get started. And there's that awkward pause. Did you feel it? Okay. You know what? I need to just do this. I said, I do too. Was I prepared? Yes, I always have my backpack. What do I have in my backpack? Application. Start filling it out. I'm like, so let's just talk about redirecting some of the spending. What are you currently taking? I just start writing stuff down. And there's a list like this. And then I wasn't unprepared because I'm like, crap, I don't have my because I give too many things out. So I gave somebody my price list. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm kind of figuring this out. I'm like, and he's like, yeah, and I like skincare too. I said, why don't we just do this? You just need to do an ultimate pack. Remember what I said I was going to do that day? Well, how much is that? I said, it's only $2,200. I said, it's a most inexpensive business you'll ever get started. You know what? Yeah, let's just do that. Okay, perfect. That was Saturday. He's got 3 people coming on board. Okay. Did I do anything special? Nope. What I did is I did the process, but I started the process. He had already signed up the moment I rolled out of bed. Why? Because I believed that he would. Remember, I didn't want to go, but the moment I decided, no, I need to flip it, that was the moment that he signed up. Does that make sense? You guys, I can't explain it. I can just tell you that it was that confidence of that's what's going to happen. If I'm going to drive, if I'm going to be cold, if I'm going to, you know, and it's not waste my time. Don't take that wrong. But then you're going to start. And if you're going to start, in my opinion, you might as well start like you should start with it, with that bigger path. Okay. How do you think he's going to start his people? Most of them are going to start like he did. One of them just wants to dip their toe in, but that's okay. Okay. So we are out of time, but has this kind of completed the process for you guys? And again, if you will, like, and again, I'm always going to ask you to be honest, because if I don't have feedback, I can't adjust and adapt. But so if you believe that you're really happy with the last 3 sessions, put in a 1. If you've got a lot that you're like, I don't even understand what we're doing, put in a 2. Because I want to reach out to you, or you can reach out to me and just say, hey, help me here. Right now, I don't have hours and hours and hours. That's why I'm doing this, but I can help you in a group setting, because if I've got somebody here that's not getting it, then there's somebody else. And that's what, and some of you might say, gee, Aaron, you're spending all this time and that stuff I already know. Fantastic. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to learn this weekend that I already know too, but I promise you I'll pick up a gold nugget. It's just one thing. For Susan, it might just be that one little piece that tweaked, and all of a sudden Susan starts to crush this thing. Right. So anyway, and Susan, you can reach out to me. I saw too, there's still some stuff there. Absolutely. Yeah. Let me know how I can help.
Thanks.
Yep. All right, guys. Does anybody else have a quick question? They got 4 minutes.
Yeah, I do. If
Yes,
you want to
ma'am.
hear.
Sure.
So I got a person who's interested in weight loss, and she wants me to show her or send a website or something to her showing her whatever we've got. So, I mean, I have quick links that'll talk about Slender Eyes, and then I have Limu site or quick links. Where do I start with that?
Here's what I would do. I would send her Dr. Crystal Vance's 9-minute video.
Okay.
Anytime, listen, great question. So guys, anytime somebody asks me for a website, I send them a video. I never send a website. There's a day, I promise you, there's a day coming up in about 4 months that I would send them maybe a website or a part to the website. But right now, they'll get lost in the abyss. And so I would send them that video, and then they're going to say, well, hey, I want to know more about those drops or about this. Then I would send them a specific video that maybe Dr. Ginger did on the drops or on whatever it is. And then, well, how much is it? Then I'll say, well, you know what? Then it's back to, you can be a retail customer, or I can show you how to get it for wholesale. And again, that's kind of converting to a customer or whatever, but we can do that on another call.
Hey, Aaron, getting a couple of questions. For you to just walk through your 60-second story really quickly so people have an idea what that entails.
Absolutely. So for me, like with this guy, because he's a sports guy, I said, listen, here's the deal. I got started and rodeo, did pretty good, didn't do too bad. And, world champion 203, ended up getting baptized in the middle of the arena in the back of a pickup truck at a horse tanks at the national finals, sponsored by Bud Light. And I always get some laughing a little bit. And I say, and if I'm sitting there and you're fixing to be tested, you ever been through any hardships? Well, you just told me you did. So you and I can relate on a lot of levels. Man, I ended up crushing this arm. And in 1997, I went through 12 surgeries in 28 days, 4 more later, OxyContin and methadone for 3.5 years, street drugs and alcohol. Man, my business burned down. 6 weeks later, I had another major fire. I had 4 lawsuits all going against me while I was going through the last 4 surgeries. Literally when I was in Minnesota having surgery, my best friend was sleeping with my girlfriend. When I was in the hospital, somebody went to do chores and ran over my dog. My uncle and my other mentor both died 3 weeks apart unexpectedly. So, it's either a really good country song or a bad country song. But all that being said, I'm like, what else could go wrong? Never asked that question. 2 days later, I got a phone call from my friend who happened to be my attorney, not Vince. And the phone call was just this: you lost everything. So I went financially not having to work to I lost every penny. My problem is I don't have many skills, right? So I now got a right arm. I've never went to college. I can't even spell college. I've never had a job. I was used to a 6-figure income, and I love my time. Nobody was going to hire a guy that can't spell resume. And a friend of mine introduced me to this unbelievable industry. And it's just, I've been building teams of people. I absolutely love it. And I'd love to share with you what I do. There's my story.
You're amazing, Aaron.
I'm not. What I'm willing to do is just be real, right? I don't need to be Eric Worre. I don't need to be Ray Higdon. I don't need to be a guru. I just need to be me, and you just need to be you. And once you and I get that all of you have a story, is my story going to connect with everybody? Nope. If you're an atheist, you might not like the fact that I got baptized. If you're an atheist, I'd like you to bring that up and I'll have a talk with you. Right? We can have a really good debate and I'll win. And I'm not, if I offend you, that's okay. I can offend you on that one. I'm totally good with that. Money's not the most important thing to me. But I'm going to be me. That's my story, right? We all have a story. Your story is your story. My story is my story. And I'm not pushing anybody away, but if you've got a story that it comes from a different background, different perspective, different faith, that's your story. I'm not gonna put you down for that at all. But we all have to be real and be authentic and be transparent. Then you practice the processes that we're talking about. And what will happen is you will find that this becomes the easiest thing you've ever done in your life. Now, easy doesn't mean that you're going to get rich overnight. That's where people get the misconception. It's not been easy the last 48 hours for Brent and Todd and I to adjust and adapt to many things that you guys will never even know what's going on behind the scenes. It's not easy. Our job is just to make it seamless, right? And so when I first got in this industry, you guys, when I tell you I lost all my money, I lost all my money. Like I had just sold my pickup truck for $40,000 to invest in this other deal. The only vehicle I had was a semi truck. You ever tried pulling up to an appointment within a semi truck? And then I had to borrow a car, which was a very old car. So I would park around a corner. I mean, literally I would park and walk. But I also remember many times having to put gas in, and I've got a $5 bill. That is the only money I have. And I remember thinking, do I save $1 just in case I need to buy a cup of coffee for somebody? I would always just say, oh, here, let me buy your coffee, even if it's my last dollar. Oh, I'll just have water. I'm just, I quit drinking coffee, or I don't need to eat. I just ate. I'll buy your lunch. I can't tell you how many people's lunches I bought when I had no money and I hadn't eaten. But see, I believed in the process so much that I knew it would work, because if it worked for somebody else, it had to eventually work for me. I just had to go through the process and I had to learn. So I hope that helps. Guys, we are out of time. Appreciate all of you. Hey, if you're on your way to Florida, God bless you. Be safe. We're praying for you. If not, you guys, please get the Zoom, participate like you were here. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.